Dude, my throat has been jacked recently.
Whoa.
Whoa. I'm sucking way too much dick, Eli. You're missing out, dude.
I'm 22.
I'll never get to enjoy black dick. I don't know if it's enjoyable for all women. Sometimes it's too big. I mean, you would know.
I don't know. I feel like it's more enjoyable than a small dick.
I think it's all about how you use it.
I mean, it really depends on how big we're talking, though. Because there's dudes
True.
you can't even put your hands around them.
OG Mudbone?
That's fucking gross.
OG Mudbone's a freak of nature.
Would you even want that in real life,
No,
though?
it's a curse. Imagine having to, imagine getting a hard-on in public, dude.
In
It'd look like you'd have a third leg.
Or imagine just having, jack off. You have to, jack it off like this. Like a log. You have to, get a towel and, stroke it like that.
Like that.
I wonder if big dick, equals more cum. Or is it all about the balls? Because it'd be weird if, a dick this big coming out like little squirts. Alright, let's get off this dick.
Alright, off the dick topic. Talk about something else.
I mean, the obvious first topic right here.
I'm not ready.
I literally can't believe it still.
It
fucked me up for this whole weekend, basically.
Yeah, it fucked me up the other day. Especially Perfect Circle, Godspeed, that song. It's like, he knew.
Mm-hmm.
He knew, and he wouldn't get help. I don't understand.
Everybody knew. That's what sucks about it.
Nobody helped him. I mean, it's like he wanted to die. He wanted to die young.
That's why I've been saying to myself, I don't want to say it is, but I don't think it's out of the question that it could have been purposeful. Because he was just, fed up,
I think he was just... It felt like he had so much bullshit that he kept inside and just kept pushing down, with drugs, He just wanted to see, how far he could go. Because he knew one day he would overdose. He just didn't know when.
Fucking sucks.
It does suck.
When I heard that, I think it was Godspeed part when he was like, they're going to have to tell my mom and she'll do anything to have me back. As soon as he said that, I started crying. It fucked me up.
Honestly, that part hit me really hard, too. And there's a part in the song where he says, if you're not crying, you are now. Or if you didn't cry at that part, you are now. Because apparently one of his friends, when they were listening to the song, started crying on that, on that last verse. It's so fucked up, man.
It feels like our generation specifically, it's because we grew up with him.
Yeah.
He was mainstream at 18 years old, and we just saw him evolve.
Yeah.
That's why it sucks so bad.
I was listening to Donald Trump the other day. I still know all the lyrics to that song. And that made me sad, just rapping that song, knowing the lyrics to that song. He had some really nasty bars too, dude. He really did.
Nasty is sex or
no,
crazy bar?
Sick, yeah.
Yeah. He was very underrated. Even the high status he had, he was still underrated as an artist.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was an accomplished producer also. He had so many different personas.
Mm-hmm. He's been around for 10 years, and he was only 26. It seems like he should be mid-30s.
Right. It seems like he should be older. I mean, there are certain songs on Macadelic that put me back in a specific place.
Mm-hmm. That's what everybody's been saying.
Yeah. They some of the Mac Miller songs throw you back to a time, when.
I think he's just so relatable. You can constantly relate to him. He's always in the same phase as we are as humans.
Right.
He just writes about it.
Mm-hmm. We were in the same generation, and it's just it never felt like he was ever trying to be anybody else. He was just Mac Miller.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other Mac Miller. I remember he had Cam Rellum. That was a persona, just Mac Miller backwards. And then it was like
Right.
Larry Fisherman, and then it was Delusional Thomas.
Larry Lovestein
And then, Harry Lovestein.
or Stein.
So sad, dude. So
His
sad.
music sounds so different now. Like you hear you hear like phrases and quotes more clear.
It does sound a lot different.
Just on his last album, on Swimming, he has the line that says something something, so I'll fall like September, and he died in September.
Self-Care, I'm pretty sure the video for Self-Care is him in like a coffin. He was almost obsessed with death.
I think that's what it does to you though, because that's how X was too. X was like obsessed with death. It's like they know that they're gonna die.
I mean, he was murdered, so
Yeah.
it's
But
different.
he's talked about getting murdered multiple times though.
Really?
Like he'd always say like, if I somehow get shot and killed, and then he'll like say, leave this message here, you know.
It's, I don't know. I mean, I think we can attribute, the overdose to somewhat of our drug culture that we live in, where like it's sort of glorified and like, I don't know. Part of me wonders if Mac Miller was like on heroin for a while, because in one of the songs he talks about fentanyl, which is like sometimes if you get bad heroin, they cut it with fentanyl, which can be like a grain of like salt is like a lethal dose of fentanyl for you. And they'll cut it with that on the streets sometimes, or sometimes it'll get into like the product, and you can OD on it.
I wouldn't be surprised, because I've heard him say in interviews that he's tried everything. Like when he was in his sober stages, he would just be like I'm done. I've tried everything I need to. So, it's not.
But it's so hard. It's so hard to just say that you're done, because once you try everything, you realize that it's boring to be sober, or you don't have that. Which episode did we talk about that? We talked about that on the very first podcast, where if you try crack, it's like such a massive high, you don't want to come down from it. I think that's kind of what Mac Miller felt, because whenever he came down, he had to deal with all the real shit in his life. He had all this money and all this fame, and he still couldn't deal with his own shit.
I don't think he ever went completely sober though, and I think that's what
think you ever
triggers
do.
it back. Like if you're still smoking weed, say you're smoking weed in like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like an environment where you'd usually do coke or something. Like it gives you that feeling, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm already high.
Yeah,
Because all his interviews when he was sober, he still looked fried out of his mind.
Oh yeah,
his eyes were red
for sure. I mean, I'm sure his drug, abuse started very young.
Oh yeah,
It's been going on for years. It had to have been. But it's still so sad, like thinking that I'll never get to hear Mac Miller's music ever again. Like, I'll never get to hear new Mac Miller music.
yeah.
We only have what we have. He gave us a lot of music, to be honest, over the last 10 years. He gave us a lot of music.
Yeah, like 7 projects, I think. And he probably has so much just sitting on that we'll probably never hear.
I think so. His last Instagram video was a recording of himself off of a vinyl record.
Oh yeah, the So It Goes song. Yeah. Did you see that they were doing an investigation and somebody cleaned the house so they couldn't find anything?
Really?
They said somebody cleaned it and the only thing they could find is like a little bit of powder residue. That's it. Like there was no paraphernalia or nothing. And there's so many possibilities as to why they would clean it.
Right. Who cleaned it?
They don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
I almost don't want to know anymore.
Yeah.
Like if I see like a picture of him, where he overdosed, like I don't want that. Like you can go like Chris Farley. Do you know who Chris Farley is?
The actor?
He was like a big
Yeah.
comedian guy. He was he did the Van Down by the River skit for SNL.
Gold member?
That's Michael Myers.
No, the fat guy though, the sumo guy. Isn't that Chris Farley?
No, that's still Michael Myers. You mean the guy that's Scottish?
Yeah.
The Scottish guy? That's still Michael Myers.
Oh, what the?
But you ever see Black Sheep?
Uh-uh.
That movie? That's Chris Farley. So Chris Farley overdosed and died, and you can look up like they published images of him after he had overdosed, and he's like laying on the ground. He's like purple, and like bloated, and it's just like.
Let me see.
It's
Or do you
fucked
not
up.
want to see
It's
it?
fucked up. You can look it up. I don't care.
His body is purple.
His face is all purple and like looks like he's been strangled and like.
What year was this?
I'm not sure.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn. What did he overdose on?
Oh, I'm not sure. He's got a rosary in his hand.
It's like he
fucked up,
knew,
isn't it?
or he grabbed it when he was dying or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, nobody wants to see that, you know? Like, that's the ugly truth. That's, you know, that's reality. But nobody wanted to see that.
I think all these rappers and people that do drugs, though, they understand it, but it's so hard, especially when you're dealing with shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to stop when it helps.
Yeah, and regular life sucks so bad after you've been high for so long. You know, you forget, like, that's what life is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you sort of have to endure the boring nature of life if you want to actually live it. Because, you know, doing drugs like Mac Miller was, it's just unsustainable. You just can't keep it going on
For
forever.
so long, too.
Yeah, I know.
Like, he's been doing it forever.
But, I mean, you could look at people like Johnny Depp, you know. Johnny Depp's been in and out of rehab. So has the guy who just played Batman.
Affleck?
Yeah, Ben Affleck.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of actors, actually. It's a problem. It's a serious problem. And, you know, people like Mac Miller can go out and literally scream about it in the song, you know. No one helps.
Mm. It was sad when his dad called and he was like, hey, like, happy holidays, I wish you were here. And
Yeah.
that was fucking sad.
Godspeed. It's very sad.
And then he had that one line, I think it was in Weekend. He said, how am I supposed to look into my parents' eyes when I'm scared to die? My eyes same color as a cherry pie. Like, he's had a lot of problems with his parents because, like,
Right.
it's almost like he's not proud of himself because he knows what he's doing, so he can't let his parents see him.
Right. But he's so raw and he's so real. Like, he's not going to lie about what he's doing or, like, what he is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd be scared to see my parents, too. I mean, if we can take anything out of it, you know, it's... I don't know. It just sucks that we enjoy his music so much more now that he's gone.
Yeah, his
You know.
swimming is number one now.
I believe it. People are trying to put the pieces together, you know, which it's always been there. It's always been there, you know. You've always seen it. It's been like, you know, he's still alive, so him talking about dying is like not as important, I guess. But it is now. It's chilling now, actually.
Now I understand why, like, when we're growing up, like, you always hear of, like, these old celebrities dying, and our parents are, like, sad, but we don't really understand it because we didn't grow up with them, but we grew up with him, and that's why it hurts so much.
It feels like I kind of knew Mac Miller in a way.
Yeah.
You know, I never actually met him, but, like, it felt like, you know, I knew him. Like, he was definitely a part of my life.
Oh, yeah. Like, I almost... Every album from watching movies up, it takes me back to a certain place, and I can remember what it was doing. Even this swimming album.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I cried on music. This was when he was alive. I
Really?
cried on that album.
Really?
Yeah.
I listened to it, but I didn't listen to it as intently as I, like, should have. I was like, oh, Mac Miller album, like, let's just play it in my car while I go do things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really actually get to sit down and listen to it, but I knew it was sad. Because, like, even just playing it in the background, like, it made me, you know, sort of depressed.
Yeah. I was at my dad's today, and because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I told myself, all right, I'm done thinking about it. Then my dad comes home and puts on, like, the Bluetooth speaker and starts playing Best Day Ever mixtape. I'm like, fuck.
That was such a great song. Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza. Nike's on My Feet. That song, I don't know what it was about that song, but, like...
It sounded like hip-hop.
Yeah, when that song came out, it's like... I could not get enough of that song. I listened to it over and over and over. I would repeat it.
A video that's scary to watch is watching movies. The video, because the way he made that song is he tricked the listener into thinking that he's glorifying the drugs and that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to what he's saying how it's like fucking him up, and like he's sitting on a couch and behind him it has like arrows and says "I'm not real," and then the chorus is people worship these idols till they come in contact with gods.
Yeah,
basically
okay.
saying like people worship him, but like he's
Mm-hmm.
not a god. That's why he says I'm not real. Like he's an
Right.
idea, basically.
He was very, very profound. He was very profound, you know. And I don't know, I don't think the drugs made him that way, you know. I think he just was. And I think the drugs, if anything, you know, hindered his ability, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could have made even better music than what he was making now if he could have gotten clean.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because he says he was sober with the Divine Feminine and then this
Mhm.
album, and they both sound like super clean. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like his previous stuff it's really good, but it sounds like
It's kind of dirty.
yeah, it's like all like compact, but this is like very open and shit.
Yeah. It's,
Like I don't know, it's weird.
they're all very visual too. Like, he's so descriptive. He could have written a good book, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because lyrically, he's so, you know, talented.
We have to stop
I know.
glorifying this.
I mean, we're not really glorifying.
No,
it.
I'm not the
Oh,
situation, the
oh.
drugs.
Yeah.